Class is in session. Let's give every NASCAR Cup Series driver a letter grade for their 2024 performance. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric, but you can call me Professor E-Step. The school year is over, report cards are due. Let's see how the class of 2024 did this year. As always, quick disclaimer, I do grade on a curve. I expect more from a Hendrick Motorsports driver, for example, than I do a Kaulig Racing driver. For example, did Carson Hocevar have a better statistical season than Kyle Busch? No, but my expectations for Kyle Busch and RCR are a lot higher than they are for a rookie, so that is going to impact some letter grades. That's the only disclaimer. Without further ado, let's get into it. We'll start off with a couple of easy ones to kind of show you how this works. William Byron. He didn't quite live up to the 6 wins he had last season, but he still won 3 races, including the Daytona 500. That's pretty special. And he advanced to his 2nd straight championship 4. Expectations were high this year. I think William Byron overall met them. He gets an A for his 2024 performance. On the flip side, unfortunately, Corey LaJoie picked the worst possible time to have the worst year of his career. Too many lowlights this year. When he somehow found a way to flip himself at Michigan, I was speechless. He actually ran okay at the end of the year with Rick Ware Racing, but he obviously lost his ride mid-season, and as of now, he does not have a contract for 2025. He finished 2nd to last in points among full-time drivers. Corey LaJoie gets an F for his 2024 season. Okay, y'all sort of get how this works? Let's kick things off with Chevrolet, starting with Team Trackhouse. Overall, I think Trackhouse is continuing to stray further and further from their 2022 peak. Ross Chastain did get a win this season, though it was too late to qualify for the playoffs. I think Chastain ran better than the finishes would suggest, but this still wasn't a great year by any means. I think still fell below Trackhouse's expectations. I'll give Ross Chastain an average grade, C+. I think I'll give his teammate Daniel Suarez a B-. Daniel Suarez was part of that iconic 3-wide Atlanta photo finish, got the win, qualified for the postseason, made the round of 12, so did well there first few races of the playoffs, but for a long stretch over the summer, Daniel Suarez did nothing. Remember, he had to post like an apology video to his fans. That's how badly they were running for large stretches of the season, so I'll give him a B- because his final points position was pretty good, but all around, Team Trackhouse still has some work to do to reach the expectations we all have for them. Oh, and Daniel Suarez did sign a 1-year extension, which, I don't know, kind of weird, good and bad. Gonna be asking a lot of questions early 2025. Let's get this over with. Richard Childress Racing had a year to forget. The fact that many fans were suggesting Austin Dillon should retire at age 34 tells you all you need to know about their season. This was the worst statistical season of Austin Dillon's 11-year Cup career. Even the 1 win they got didn't fully count. Career worst average finish, career worst points finish. I didn't think it could get worse than 2023. Somehow they found a way. F for Austin Dillon. Easy. Much of the same, unfortunately, can be said about Kyle Busch. Like I said, I have high expectations for a 2-time Cup Series champion who should supposedly still be in his prime. This was the first full-time season of his Cup career he went winless, missed the playoffs as well. You could tell he was pressing, lashed out at North Wilkesboro, bad mistakes at Indianapolis, Kansas late in the year. Kyle Busch still has something left in the tank, I'm convinced, but the cars need to be better. Kyle Busch this season was pushing too hard, asking more of the equipment than the equipment was capable of giving him. That led to mistakes. Unfortunately, it led to a failure of a season for the 2-time champion future Hall of Famer. Kaulig Racing had 1 full-time Cup Series driver this year. That was Daniel Hemrick. You would be forgiven if you forgot Daniel Hemrick raced full-time this year because, unfortunately, he had a very forgettable season. I don't think there were any expectations coming into this year. He met that bar. I'll give him a C. He finished 29th in driver points. That's not bad. Still was, I believe, 2 positions worse than the Kaulig 16 in owner's points, so the performance wasn't exactly where they want it to be, and we now know that Daniel Hemric won't be returning to Kaulig next year. As of now, I do not believe Daniel Hemric has a contract for 2025. That's a little concerning, though I've heard his name mentioned when it comes to the 19 truck. I know a few drivers are eyeing that seat, but if Hemric could step into a championship caliber truck series situation, hey, that's not bad. C for Daniel Hemric. And I'll give Ricky Stenhouse Jr. a C+. He missed the playoffs this year, did win at Talladega in the fall, but his average finish was 4 positions worse than last season. We forget that 2023 was good to Ricky Stenhouse. Obviously, he won the Daytona 500, but he was top 16 in points most of the regular season. Overall, this season didn't quite live up to those expectations, but he did get a win. C+ for Stenhouse. The most memorable moment of 2024 will likely be when he punched Kyle Busch and was fined $75,000 for his troubles. Justin Haley is a difficult driver to grade. Coming into this year, a lot of fans thought he was taking a step backwards. His career was on the ropes. That proved not to be the case. Statistically, nothing Justin Haley did really jumps out at you this year. A couple of good top 10s early in the year at tough tracks. But otherwise, it was an unremarkable season for Justin Haley. He did enough, though, to improve his market value. Mid-season gets traded to Spire, which I believe to be an upgrade. Justin Haley will be joining Spire Motorsports full-time next year, right when it seems Spire is ready to launch. He'll get to work with Rodney Childers next year. I'll give Justin Haley a B-. The on-track results weren't great, but he leveraged his performance into a much better opportunity. What everyone thought was a step backwards for his career turned out to be a huge step forward. B- for Haley. How about a couple of rookies? Zane Smith's rookie season got off to a diabolical start. 28th place average finish the first half of this year. Not a single top 10. He was last in points. Utter disaster. But in the second half, he figured it out. Went from a 28th place average finish in the first half to an 18th place average finish the second half. That's a 10 position improvement. He scored 4 top 10s at the end of the season. A couple of top 5s as well. I was honestly ready to give Zane Smith a B+, B+ for his resiliency, and then I remembered he doesn't have a ride for next season. Despite the second half turnaround, Zane Smith will not return to Trackhouse. He will not return to Spire. He is currently jobless for 2025. So I'm going to give him a C-. I hope that second half turnaround has shown other teams what he's capable of. I think Zane Smith has the potential to be great. Hopefully he lands a competitive ride for next season. C- for Zane Smith. How about Carson Hocevar, his teammate at Spire? Carson Hocevar's 21 years old. He stepped into what many believe to be the worst car in the Cup Series garage the past couple of years, and he won Rookie of the Year. He finished 21st in points, ahead of both front row cars, most of Stewart-Haas Racing. He was just 1 position behind Kyle Busch. Hocevar had earned a reputation coming into this year, being over-aggressive, a little reckless. I don't think he hurt his reputation this season. I don't think he helped it either. Remember how strongly people reacted to Ross Chastain when he first started racing up front, trading paint? I have a feeling Carson Hocevar will have a similar experience in the coming years. I'm giving him a B+. Rookie of the Year? We all look at Spire Motorsports differently today than we did a year ago. Most of that is due to Carson Hocevar. B+ for Carson. Let's talk Hendrick Motorsports. Let's give Kyle Larson an A. Lots of highs and lows this year. 6 wins. That's great. Washout Memorial Day weekend was a huge disappointment. Led over 1,600 laps this year. Dominated the Bristol night race, only to falter in the round of 8, multiple mistakes, missed the championship 4. If you were to tally it up though, the highs definitely outnumbered the lows. Kyle Larson was the number 1 seed entering the playoffs, had a very, very good year. I still think he deserves an A. His teammate Chase Elliott was also eliminated in the round of 8, but his path to the round of 8 looked completely different. Larson was up and down. Chase Elliott was smooth and steady. Only 1 win this year for Elliott, but a series best 11.7 average finish. Very consistent. We expect Chase Elliott to win more races. We're used to seeing him win 3, 4, 5 races a year, so he's not quite back to his peak form, but this was objectively a much better season than last year, which was plagued by injury, a suspension. He missed the playoffs, went winless. This year was objectively better by just about every available metric. I'll give Chase Elliott a B+. And I think I'll give Alex Bowman a B+ as well. I think Bowman, the driver, did enough to get to the round of 8. The team, the car, let him down. Just like Elliott, Bowman's 2024 numbers were better than his 2023 numbers across the board, got that win at Chicago. Like Elliott, they both had to battle back from injuries in recent seasons. I think Alex Bowman is a serious regular season championship threat next year. Chase Elliott as well. Both so consistent for stretches this season. If they can put it all together, maybe win a couple races, I think they could be serious regular season championship threats. So Chase Elliott, B+. I think Alex Bowman, I'll also give a B+. Good year for Hendrick Motorsports across the board, even though they did not win the ultimate prize at the end of the season. That'll do it for the Chevys. Let's talk Ford, beginning with Team Penske. Austin Cindric. Plenty of positives this year. Got his first non-super speedway win, made it to the round of 12, but unfortunately he is still really not close to his teammates. He's still young, less experienced, but sooner rather than later we will expect him to make that jump. His teammates have won 3 championships in a row. They literally finished 1-2 at Phoenix. Where was Cindric? His season statistics still have not improved since his rookie season. That is going to have to change eventually. For now, I'll give him a B-. I think he had a pretty good season. Ryan Blaney gets an A, one of the best title defense seasons we've seen in recent history. And some people thought Blaney's 2023 title run was a total fluke. No, he backed it up with 3 more wins this year, another deep playoff run. He was less than half a second away from winning back-to-back Cup Series championships, was nearly the first to win back-to-back titles in this format's history. Great year all around. Blaney gets an A, and his offseason is off to a great start, getting to make laps with Sydney Sweeney. Yeah, I might give his offseason an A as well, quite frankly. Joey Logano gets an A+. I always give the champion an A+, although Joey Logano certainly put my grading system to the test this year. He did not have an A+ season, but they picked the right races to perform, were great under pressure. Whatever you may think of the format, Joey Logano, Paul Wolfe, Team Penske have cracked the code. It's not random when the same guys are there at the end of the season every single year. Joey Logano and Paul Wolfe have figured this format out. They deserve their credit. Whatever you think of the format, that can be its own argument. Separate from that is Joey Logano being great. Second most wins on the season. He also won the All-Star race, so he got a couple of huge paydays. A+ for Joey Logano. We'll throw Harrison Burton up there now. Team Penske Alliance, Wood Brothers Racing driver. He's another tough one to grade. I was fully prepared to give him an F. Terrible start to the season. Lost his job midway through the season, but then he wins Daytona, and under the format, he clinched a playoff spot. Hit the lottery, as some suggested. Got the Wood Brothers, their 100th Cup Series win. What a special moment, but don't let that distract you from the bigger picture. Harrison Burton still got fired this year. He won't race Cup next season. Instead, he'll be in Xfinity driving for a team that struggled mightily in 2024. Because of that Daytona win, I'll give him an okay grade, but I can't give him a good score. I'll give Burton a C. I think that's fair. Let's talk RFK Racing. I had high expectations for this team this year. I think they almost met them. Brad Keselowski maybe did. I know getting eliminated in the round of 16 stings. That's disappointing, but he did break through to get his first win as a owner driver. He had a really strong, consistent summer stretch as well. I think Brad Keselowski, I'll give Bad Brad a B. How about that? Chris Buescher, coming off a 3-win season, a round of 8 appearance a year ago, I was hoping for more of the same. He did not make the playoffs, but was 11th to 12th in points most of the season. Just didn't get that win until it was too late. But when Chris Buescher did get that win, he did so in dramatic fashion, beating Shane Van Gisbergen at Watkins Glen of all places. Disappointing to miss the playoffs, for sure, but not a terrible year, so I'll give Chris Buescher a C+. So I'm giving the RFK guys similar scores to what I gave the Trackhouse guys because I kind of feel the same way about those two teams. Let's talk Stewart-Haas Racing. Man, the Josh Berry hype train derailed at the end of this year. Most of the season, Josh Berry was 19th, 20th in regular season points. He finished the year 27th, had a 25th place average finish the final 10 races of the year. 0 top 10s, wound up finishing below all of his Stewart-Haas teammates. That's with Rodney Childers on the box. 10 DNFs, a series high. Had a lot to do with it. On the plus side, Berry did sign with the Wood Brothers, Team Penske Alliance, so he'll be in a good place next season. Disappointing on-track performance, but good job off-track. I'll give Berry a C. I'll give Noah Gragson a B-. He had a sub-20th place average finish this year. 19.6 average finish is actually the same average finish veteran Aric Almirola put up in this car a year ago. And Gragson actually had more top 10s this year than Almirola did last year. Gragson was also able to land on his feet, signing a deal with Row Motorsports. So, I mean, considering that this time last year, Noah Gragson was out of a ride, his racing future was heavily in question, he's in a great spot. I'll give Noah Gragson a B-. And I think I'll give Chase Briscoe a B+ because he arguably won free agency, signing with Joe Gibbs Racing and Bass Pro Shops. That's off track, I guess, but on track, Briscoe had a better 2024 than he did 2023 at least. 2023 was a disaster, frankly. Winless, major penalties, 30th in points. 2024 could have been even worse with all the Stewart-Haas drama early in the year, team shutting down, valuable employees leaving mid-season. But that 14 team somehow overcame all of those distractions to win at Darlington, the Southern 500 in dramatic fashion, made it to the round of 12 in the playoffs. With so much working against him, Briscoe still had a good finish to the season, won free agency. In my opinion, he gets a B+. Ryan Preece, meanwhile, the veteran of the group, I'll give him a C. He finished third of the 4 Stewart-Haas cars in points. That's not bad. Not many flashes this year, but if he truly ends up at RFK Racing like many expect him to, I mean, that's a pretty great off-season move. So, yeah, I'll give Ryan Preece an average score when you balance it all out. I'm excited to see what he can do next year, assuming the RFK rumors turn out to be true. Final couple of Fords here. Front Row Motorsports. We'll start with Michael McDowell. First off track, signed a lucrative deal with Spire Motorsports. That's great. On track, he had a decent year. Won 6 pole awards, holy moly, but obviously failed to win, failed to make the playoffs. He did set a new career high in laps led, so it was an okay year for McDowell, on and off the track. I'll give him a B-. Todd Gilliland took a pretty big leap, was 28th in points at the end of last year, finished 22nd in points this season. He actually finished 1 spot ahead of Michael McDowell. Front Row Motorsports now a key partner with Ford. Gilliland likely will be there longish term. I'll give him a B. He's got some stability with a good team. That's great. Let's hope the lawsuit doesn't derail things. Ugh. Lastly, let's talk Toyota, beginning with 2311 Racing. Bubba Wallace. Statistically, this was maybe Bubba Wallace's best year ever. Most top 5s of his career, most top 10s, best average finish. So why does this year also feel like a massive disappointment? No wins. It's been more than 2 years now since his last victory. No playoffs after making them last year. His numbers were pretty good, but they don't come anywhere close to his teammate Tyler Reddick. He'll have a new crew chief next year, which I think is great. Bubba Wallace, Booty Barker had great chemistry, and I think that was important those first few years when Bubba Wallace was transitioning to 2311. He was in a different position career-wise than he'd really ever been. I think having that strong chemistry was really good, but now the expectations are you should go win, contend for the playoffs, make the playoffs, maybe contend for a championship. And I think a new crew chief gives the 23 team a better shot of doing that. So kind of a mixed bag for Bubba this year. Statistically, one of the best years of his career. But comparing him to his teammate, where 2311 is at, some of the uncertainty going forward, it still feels like a disappointment. I'll give him a B-. I think that's fair. The aforementioned Tyler Reddick gets an A. Career best top 5s, top 10s, career high in poles, best average finish, 3 more wins, won the regular season championship, made it to his first ever championship 4. Easy A. 2311 looked extremely competitive in year 4. This is just Tyler Reddick's second year with the organization. Again, there's some uncertainty going forward with the lawsuit, but hopefully this team's performance continues to trend upward. A for Tyler Reddick. Let's talk Legacy Motor Club. Ugh. 4 top 10 finishes for John Hunter Nemechek this year. Showed some flashes, but when it's all said and done, he finished last in points among full-time drivers. That's an F. We know he's a talented driver. Is he patient enough? Can Legacy Motor Club give him something to work with? I kind of feel for the guy. He went back down to trucks, grinded it out for a couple of years, went back to Xfinity where he won 7 races, showed us what he's capable of, and now he's stuck here with a team that's clearly not where they want to be. They're spinning their wheels. Unfortunately, the 42 team gets an F for this year, and I think I have to give Erik Jones an F as well. Besides just the poor performance from these teams across the board, we saw little to no improvement throughout the season. Just take a few races, for example. Erik Jones finished 14th at Las Vegas in the spring. When they went back in the fall, he finished 25th, a lap down. Martinsville finished 12th in the spring, 19th in the fall. Richmond, 14th and then 29th. Even Darlington, one of Erik Jones's best tracks, was 19th in the spring, but 24th in the Southern 500. Erik Jones somehow led 0 laps this year. The performance was so bad that Jones and crew chief Dave Ellens finally split up. Maybe I set the bar too high for Legacy Motor Club coming into this year. I think that's safe to say, but shoot, going into 2025, I'm setting the bar down here off screen. It's on the floor. Let's hope they can at least clear that in 2025. The final team to discuss today is Joe Gibbs Racing. Figured we'd end with a heavy hitter. Let's be honest, it was a good year for Denny Hamlin. Not a great year, missed the championship 4 for the 3rd straight season, but he still won 3 races. Despite the massive engine penalty, he still made it to the round of 8. I'm giving Denny a B+ for this season. The goal is obviously to make the championship 4. Anything short of that is not worthy of an A. But still, when you look at the numbers, he had a good season. I think he deserves a good grade. His teammate Martin Truex Jr., one final ride. Looked like he had a case of senioritis. He wasn't studying for his finals. He was on cruise control the final semester. 0 wins on the year, fewest top 5s and top 10s he's had in years. I'm giving him a C-. I hate to give him a bad score on his way out, but this is what happens when you catch senioritis. Let that be a lesson, kids. You can't just coast. You gotta put the work in, and it's safe to say Truex was not putting the work in most of this season. Christopher Bell, meanwhile, had a great year, I believe. If Chevrolet doesn't block for Byron at Martinsville, if Bell doesn't accidentally ride the wall, he would have been in his 3rd straight championship 4. Over the past couple of seasons, Christopher Bell has statistically been the best Joe Gibbs Racing driver. That trend continued this season. 3 more wins. He led the most laps of his career. He scored more top 5s, more top 10s than he ever has. I think Christopher Bell deserves an A-. Obviously, the goal is to make the championship 4. On a technicality, you might argue, they missed it. He says he was cheated out of a championship 4 appearance. I'm not sure I'd go that far, but I get the disappointment considering how great an overall season Bell did have. So I think he is worthy of an A-. Let me know if you agree. Lastly, young Ty Gibbs, sophomore driver, fell into a sophomore slump at the end of this season. 5 straight finishes of 30th or worse to end the season. Only had 1 top 10 the entire playoffs at Kansas, a Toyota track. I can't hate on Ty Gibbs too much. He did make the playoffs, so that was a clear improvement from his rookie season, but still looking for that first win. At times, he looked close this year, but by the end of the season, it looked like a distant dream. Ty Gibbs still has work to do to become a consistent Cup Series contender. This season overall was okay, did not end nearly as well as he would have hoped. I'll give him a C+. I was ready to give him like a B for the year until, the final few races happened, especially that anticlimactic lap 2 DNF at Phoenix. Ty Gibbs just ran out of steam the end of this season. That's concerning. C+ for Ty Gibbs. That'll do it, folks. Do you agree with the grade I gave your favorite driver? Let me know. Let me hear it down in the comment section below. Maybe we can schedule a parent-teacher meeting. We can hash things out, discuss how your favorite driver's been behaving in class. I hope y'all enjoyed that one. Always fun to do this video every single year. Big thank you to my Patreon supporters. Lots of off-season content still coming your way, so subscribe if you're new to the show. That's all I've got. Catch you next time. Have a wonderful rest of your Monday, folks. Take care.